that I see when I see Mexicans or Mexican Americans tell black people that y'all cry too much, y'all complain, y'all just victims. But it is that crying and that complaining what caused y'all to fight for all of us.
Some minority group like Latinos, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, Arab Americans, they always say this, that black people complain too much, or they cry too much, or they complain a lot. Now, this perception that black people complain a lot, I think is just a way to dismiss a legitimate concern about systematic issues such as racism, discrimination, and everything, that's surrounding the problem of these minority groups.
When 10 white people line up for a job interview and one white person gets the job, the rest 9 don't go out and say, oh, here's the whitest of us all white people.
Yeah.
No, there is an unfair advantage, and that is the reality of the world. There's a reason why they say the rich get richer, because they get access to information first.
I'm getting so sick of people acting like black people complain too much.
Even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all these things, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining?
We call that crying, but the reality is that the reason why we are in the conditions that we are is because we don't cry enough.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching from. Welcome back to my YouTube space. Whoa, thank you so much, and I love you so much for the love and support you are showing me. Now, the video I'm going to discuss today is, there is this Mexican guy saying that black people cries a lot, or they complain a lot. Of course, he has went ahead and saying that the cry of black people is what is putting other minority group alive. The cry of black people is what is making other groups like Latinos, Asians, those all the migrants in America. The cry of black people is what is making them live a good life. But of course, black people, they don't keep quiet. They fight for the people. And as I always say, I think black people are in this world to protect other people, because they cannot keep quiet seeing that things are happening that is bad. Now, I want you to watch this video. I want you to watch this video of this Mexican guy saying what he has to say, and then comment down there. What do you think? Okay?
Here's the thing. That crying, that complaining is what caused black people to fight. If it weren't for black people put in prison for fighting and getting murked a lot of times, if it weren't for that, a lot of minorities in this country wouldn't have these systemic opportunities that we do today. The irony that I see when I see Mexicans or Mexican Americans tell black people that y'all cry too much, y'all complain, y'all just victims, but it is that crying and that complaining what caused y'all to fight for all of us. For all of us. Literally, we Mexican, and I speak for myself, we're so prideful that we choose to be quiet a lot of times as we're being systemically mistreated and we face systemic inequalities. And due to that is why we as Mexican people are so behind. It's so behind, and we get mistreated so much in this country because we don't complain. We don't cry. We are just bullied around, being pushed around by everybody, as opposed to black people who said, nah, we're going to fight. And that sacrifice while fighting has enabled all minorities, not just Mexicans, Asians, Indians, everybody in this country benefits from the civil rights movements that was fought by black people. So my personal opinion in regards to black people always complaining, black people always crying, we need to stop identifying that as crying and complaining and really call it, we're tired of systemic inequality, systemic oppression, and we are going to finally stand up and change things. That is what a lot of Mexican people can't see. We call that crying, but the reality is that the reason why we are in the conditions that we are is because we don't cry enough. It's because black people, y'all cry too much. Y'all complain too much. You're victims. Here's the thing. It's because black people, y'all cry too much. Y'all complain too much. You're victims. Here's the thing. That crying, that complaining is what caused black people to fight. If it weren't for black people put in prison for fighting and getting murked a lot of times, if it weren't for that, a lot of minorities in this country wouldn't have these systemic opportunities that we do today. The irony that I see when I see Mexicans or Mexican Americans tell black people that y'all cry too much, y'all complain, y'all just victims, but it is that crying and that complaining what caused y'all to fight for all of us. For all of us. Literally, we Mexican, and I speak for myself, we're so prideful that we choose to be quiet a lot of times as we're being systemically mistreated and we face systemic inequalities. And due to that is why we as Mexican people are so behind. It's so behind, and we get mistreated so much in this country because we don't complain. We don't cry. We are just bullied around, being pushed around by everybody, as opposed to black people who said, nah, we're going to fight. And that sacrifice while fighting has enabled all minorities, not just Mexicans, Asians, Indians, everybody in this country benefits from the civil rights movements that was fought by black people. So my personal opinion in regards to black people always complaining, black people always crying, we need to stop identifying that as crying and complaining and really call it, we're tired of systemic inequality, systemic oppression, and we are going to finally stand up and change things. That is what a lot of Mexican people can't see. We call that crying, but the reality is that the reason why we are in the conditions that we are is because we don't cry enough.
It's a African lady who said that black people love complaining and yet they have everything. How I wish this lady knew what black people are going through.
Even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all this thing, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like, I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa to feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not have resources, but there are some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in their nurture that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for you, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However, they should still move forward.
How? I wish she could knew how African is being shaped too by the black Americans. The history of Africa too, black Americans are there. How I wish that this African, when they are going to America for job, for school, when they are living good there, it's because of the struggles of black Americans.
When 10 white people line up for a job interview and one white person gets the job, the rest 9 don't go out and say, oh, he's the whitest of us all white people.
Yeah.
No, there is an unfair advantage, and that is the reality of the world. There's a reason why they say the rich get richer, because they get access to information first.
I have more videos of people talking about black people complaining too much, and I want to just listen to them and then we'll talk.
Police solve less than 20% of crime throughout the entire country, and yet we continue to fund them over and over again, and it's not working. Tyrese Nichols was pulled over in a car, an unmarked car, with police officers that were in street clothes, which should not happen. And that's not just something that happens in Memphis. That's something that happens in DC, it happens in Maryland, it happens in Virginia, it happens all over the country. We need to get to a system where we don't depend on police because they don't keep us safe. And it's so sad for the people who don't normally be in spaces like this, who aren't aware of the actual issues, who actually do believe that the police keep us safe. How do they feel? You know, when you think that these people are here to protect you and they are the ones that your death is at the hands of. Do you know like how much force it takes to beat somebody with your bare hands? How much violence that takes, how much anger that takes, how much hate that has to take. This system is not working. And matter of fact, let me take it back. It is working. It's working exactly the way that it's intended to. I think we need to break the system, shut it the fuck down, and reimagine what it's like for our communities to actually be safe. Police pulling us over in unmarked cars, wearing street clothing, that's not them trying to keep us safe. That's them targeting us. That is them specifically seeking us out. That is them specifically trying to criminalize us. The issue is criminalization and incarceration. And until we can get legislators in office that's going to do more than do fucking photo ops and kneel on kente cloths like they fucking did something, then we're going to keep being in the streets and people are going to keep dying and black people are going to continue to be hashtags.
I'm getting so sick of people acting like black people complain too much. And I mean specifically like the ones who try to say we want to remind them of when we were slaves too much. The people who say get over it. Like we trying to get praised or something. What y'all want the spotlight? Y'all can have it. As long as our spotlight get replaced with justice. Cause I hate this fuck. I hate the system. Because they try to treat every situation when we tape a killing and act like we just playing victim. Okay, what about Kylan English? He died under police custody and they staged it as suicide. They said he broke the cop car window out with his head, jumped out in cuffs, and jumped over a bridge. That was a stupid lie, but that didn't make national news. That was just in my city. See, every hood got a buried story. We need justice, not pity. This shit happen every day, not just the situations y'all see on camera. So even if George Floyd was resisting arrest, we still need some answers. Martin Luther King got killed less than 60 years ago. That's not even an entire expected lifespan. And you mean to tell me from then to now, we just trying to find a reason to disrespect the white man? Like, damn, I got white friends and their lives matter too. But if I'm walking home from the neighborhood at night, I'm Harambe at the Cincinnati Zoo. Now tell me that ain't true. If you do, it won't sit with me. Cause I got my car searched for a turn signal. Only person on the road with no criminal history or suspicious activity. But y'all wanna say it's cause we act like animals? Man, I hurt inside. Cause I did step out of the car. But if I did, you telling me I deserve to die? What if you got searched for no reason? That wouldn't hurt your pride to think maybe if my skin was a little lighter, I might not have got searched that time. Trying to say we living in the past because we had a black president. Man, if it wasn't for security, who was he running against again? John McCain. We would have had that president. Man, Barack Obama was the most threatened president in history. That's evidence. Trying to justify taking innocent lives because of gang violence and black recklessness. What about business owners, college graduates, future black excellence? We fear for our lives and still comply and still die over some whack petty shit. But in y'all eyes, we complain too much. No, Sandra Bland, we die for switching lanes too much. Oscar Grant, we die for riding trains too much. It's not complaining, it's confusion as to why we living in a system that never gave us justice. Black lives never matter.
Listen to this fool.
How many times have black people stormed the U.S. Capitol? How about during slavery? Nope. How about after slavery? Nope. Because we were falsely imprisoned and forced to work on the same plantations we were slaves on? Nope. Maybe after hanging us from thousands of trees? Nope. Come on, after segregated housing? No. But what about when the FBI spied on every black activist from Martin Luther King to Angela Davis? Nope. And then our communities were pumped with cocaine and we were funneled into prisons? Nope. Maybe after the police killed Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. How many black people you gonna kill? We ain't never stormed the U.S. Capitol. And these white people just walked in because they lost their election to another white man.
So did they storm or they walked in, brother? So the police officer killed Trayvon Martin? I thought it was Zimmerman. Zimmerman is not a police officer. What are you saying? Can y'all stop making excuses?
Welcome back. Now, the perception of black people complain a lot is often a way to dismiss legitimate concern about systematic issues such as racism, discrimination, economic inequalities, and historical injustices. Historically, those in power often label the demands of oppressed group as excessive or unreasonable to maintain the status quo. For example, during the civil rights movement, activists were accused of being disruptive when they were simply fighting for equal rights. Today, similar rhetoric is used when black people speak out about police brutality, workplace discrimination, or economic disparities. In reality, advocacy and protest has been the key to progress, not just for black communities, but for many other groups. Now, these other groups, they are keeping quiet. For example, the Latinos. When black people were on the streets complaining, and protesting, some of the minorities group or other races, they were just quiet. For example, Latino. And this guy has just said it that they usually don't go out to protest. They are usually not loud. They are just keeping quiet, even though they are being discriminated, even though they are going through a lot. They don't speak as Latinos or Mexicans or any other group. And they usually call black people as uncivilized criminals. When we protest, disruptive, that we are disturbing peace. That's what they usually say. And they always want to be close to the oppressor, close to the white people. I think because of their color, maybe. So, black people, like any other group, voice concern about issues that affect their daily lives, well-being, and opportunities. And these concerns is for everyone, for Latino, for Asian, for Arab, and even the white Americans. Even right now, white Americans have come out here and accept openly, acknowledge that the black people have played a very big role in shaping America. Black people have played a good role in bringing up America. But they ignored it. And now they are ripping off of what they ignored. They have come out openly. Yeah? Like on that video you have just watched. So the idea of saying that black people, they cry a lot, the idea of saying black people, they complain a lot, it is not complaining, but it is just voicing of the things that everyone is going through. Even the other race, like white race, are going through these problems, but they can't speak because they have this, we are white. When we speak, they will see us as failures, So white people, for example, it is eating them up slowly, but they can't talk because they are white. The other groups like Latinos and Asians can't come out and speak about it because they want to be close to the white people. We don't want to be associated with blacks because they said black people are inferior. They were taught that black people are goons. They were taught black people are criminals. So they don't want to associate themselves with black people. But deep down, they are facing these problems and they are going through a lot. They are going through the same problem that these black people are fighting for. They are going through same economic inequalities. They are going through racism and discrimination. They are going through police brutality and justice. They are going through poor education system, health disparities, but they can't speak. Because when they speak, they will say, we are uncivilized, so we don't want. Let us die in pain. But why you are saying black people are crying babies, black people are, is because we cannot stand injustice as black people. Black Americans can't stand injustice. Black Americans, they can't sit down seeing that we have economic inequalities and they are keeping quiet. They have been talking about it. Now see what is happening. It is eating even the white Americans up. They cannot sit down and see police brutality. Black Lives Matters was a movement that helped even the Latinos people. It was a movement that helped the Cubans because America have termed Mexicans as drug dealers. That's what we know. Even Trump has said that. But the Black Lives Matters has ended the thing of a police officer seeing you at one glance and declaring you are a hooligan, declaring you are a drug trafficker. So this crying, you are talking about and complaining of black people, it is helping. Poor education system, it's everywhere. In the minority communities like black communities, and it is everywhere. Underfunded schools in black communities, lack of access, inequality, higher education, it is in each and every community that is not white. Health disparities, Latinos are facing health disparities. Limited access to quality health care, higher maternal and infant mortality test, not only for black women, but too for Latino women. They are facing higher maternal and infant mortality rate. Political and social exclusion. Black people get out. They got out, they complained, they cried, as you are saying. We were having underrepresentation in government and leadership roles for these other communities, voter suppression. But right now, due to black people, Latinos can go out and vote for Trump and cry. Due to black people, Asian Americans can go out and vote. Latino Americans can go out and vote for Trump. Everyone can go out and vote for whoever he or she wants because there is no more voter suppression. Now your vote counts. Ignoring black people, they are crying people, they are complaining people. But we as black Americans, okay, I'm not black American, but understand when I say we, as black Americans or Afro-American, we fight for justice. Black Americans always fight for justice. Whatever they fight for is for everyone. As you may think it is only for black people, they are only fighting for themselves, but at the end of the day, voter suppression, it was an issue for each and every community that is not white. But right now, they are getting right to vote. Right now, each and every community, Latinos can get maybe good education because of black people. Latinos can escape police brutality because of black people. Minimal racism and discrimination, institutional racism in education, healthcare, employment, it is a thing that is happening in America. But because of black people, now everyone is talking about this. But those Latinos and other groups that are keeping quiet simply because they do not want to cry, they do not want to shout, they don't want to be seen as crying babies, to be seen as people who are complaining. You are suffering in silence, and you know that. You know that because after these black people going out and cry, after they go out and shout, after they complain a lot, you are reaping their benefit. You are reaping what black people have sowed. Black advocacy has dismissed a lot of complaining. Black advocacy has led to significant achievement to both black people and other minority groups like civil rights and legal protection. Abolition of slavery happened in 1865 in the USA. Later in other countries, it was because of black resistance played a crucial role in this. Civil Rights Acts in 1964 in the US ended segregation and discrimination in public places and employment, and later went to other countries. Voting Rights Act that came in 1965 in the USA prohibited racial discrimination in voting, but due to black people now, some things are out there. Anti-apartheid movement, South Africa 1990s, led to the end of apartheid in the election of Nelson Mandela. Kudos to black people, black Americans at large. Economic and employment gains. Black people are gaining now, and other minority groups like the one you are talking, they are gaining now. Affirmative action policies, increased opportunities for black and other minorities groups, increased black business ownership and other groups that are owning groups without being biased. Workers' rights, now black-led labor movement helped improve wages, working condition to everyone, every group, every minority group. Political representation, more black leaders in politics, including Barack Obama, the president, was there due to the movement of black people. And again, other minorities groups are benefiting from this. Now, police and criminal injustices, body cameras and police reforms has increased due to the efforts of black people. End of stop and frisk. U.S. racial profiling policies have been challenged with black people or overturned, now everyone is benefiting from this. And challenges are there. It will not end if all these minority communities cannot come together. If Latinos cannot support black people, or black can't support Latinos, Asian can't support this, all of us minority communities, we are the results of oppressor. We are being, we have the same oppressor. That's what we need to know. Nobody is better on the eyes of the oppressor. We are the same because we are going through the same hell. So what we need to do, we need to join hands. Not say that some group of people are crying. Don't use that word. Of course, you have, like a rat, it always bite you. And so this Mexican guy has just bite. And that's why I was asking, do you think, is it crying? Is he mocking? All in all, these groups need to join hands so that they can push for equality. If Latinos could join hands with black people right now, no one could be crying because immigrants are thrown out of. No one could be crying because the economy is bad. But because you want to side your way with the oppressor, that's why one group is on this left, another on right. Nobody is assisting anyone, and all of us, we are going through the same problem. Earlier we realize that we are going to the same direction. The earlier we realize we have one oppressor, the earlier we realize we have the same problem, is the better for us. Tell me what you think on the comment section, okay? Until next episode, I love you so much. Peace out.